What's up, everybody? It's your boy True Element 78 in the building with
The Mondo Lucha Hall of Famer, the X-Man Xavier Mustafa.
The infamous narcissist, the natural Chris Black.
and today is January 31st, 2019, and we're here with your NXT Takeover and Royal Rumble review as well as the Fallout. We're going to be doing these shows for you guys for the Big Four or Big Five. We're going to discuss that off air on if we're going to do the Big Five or the Big Four, and where we cover the NXT events, the pay-per-views, and the following SmackDown and Raws is going to be a little bit different once they move to Fox and the shows move to Friday nights, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Anyways, like I said, we're here with your NXT review, Royal Rumble review, as well as Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and we'll probably get into a couple other tidbits that have dropped. My, oh my, oh my, has it been a busy week in the world of the WWE. But to kick things off, we're going to start off with your NXT Takeover review, which happened this past Saturday night, and it was epic. We had a new North American champion in Johnny Gargano, and we had Aleister Black not regain his NXT championship, and we had kind of the reformation of DIY, a heel DIY. So Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano standing tall on the stage, but that was not the end of the show. But before we get into all of that, we had our man on the ground out there to experience it all live. I'm going to let him give you guys his feedback and his thoughts on his time out there in Arizona. Go ahead.
I'm going to say it was a great weekend of wrestling. Not really any show disappointed. Since we're starting with NXT TakeOver, I'll start with there. Great opening match between the War Raiders versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Great back and forth match. Kind of had a cool entrance too. The War Raiders had, which is kind of cool. Great back and forth match. I thought I really didn't know too much about the War Raiders going in, but I'm very, very impressed by them. Chris, Black, you have anything to say about that match before we go over to the next one?
Yeah, when I first saw the entrance, I'm like, what in the hell is this? Like you said, I wasn't really interested. I didn't even know who they were, but I immediately got into it. If anyone was following me on Twitter, I was going crazy for the hot tag. It's one of the matches where I legit had to rewind it and watch it again because I was so impressed. That was a very, very good match. Well timed. Wasn't too long, wasn't too short. Great match all around.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I got to give credit to Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. They have, I don't know, they have these matches like to a science where it's good storytelling, it's good moves, it's like, and they do things in a way where it makes sense the person kicks out, I think, to a certain degree. Because it's not like they take big, gigantic moves. And yeah, they do eventually kick out, but I mean, the timing, the pacing, everything they do, I think, is top notch.
The match definitely escalates from the start to finish. It kind of builds up until,
Crescendos.
the climax.
Yeah. That was an amazing tag team match. NXT is just infamous for these tag matches that are unmatched on the main roster of the WWE pretty much, besides the Usos and the New Day matches, which WWE's beating that horse into the ground now. So, but yeah, that to kick off the NXT show, that was an amazing match. Like you said, it was well paced. Everything made sense. The big man got all their things in, did some things that you didn't expect for them to do in that match, and to even take more bumps than I expected them to take from the Undisputed Era. But it still all made sense the way that it went down.
Right.
Next up from that match, well, actually, before we go on to the next match, did they have any matches before that, dark matches that we didn't get to see on television?
They did. It was the two matches that was actually on this week's NXT. It was the Street Profits. I can't remember the other team's name though, off the top of my head. But it was a tag team match, and then it ended up happening where the guy interfered on the other team. And then it was the tag match with, and I'm going to butcher his name, Io something or other.
Io Shirai.
There we go. Her and Akari Sane, they wrestled the two guys that be running around with Shayna Baszler.
Oh,
I
The
mean, the
two
two girls that
guys.
be running
the
around with
two
Shayna.
guys.
What happened to her? What happened to his face?
Whose face?
The one of the two dudes with Shayna Baszler.
Oh, she had on
It
nose
didn't.
guard. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She had on the
What
Phantom of
happened
the
to her
Opera
face?
mask.
I don't know.
Probably got into a bar fight like Shawn Michaels. Oh, you think you're tough? We'll show you tough. But following that not main event, but following that kickoff match in the tag team division with the War Raiders taking the tag team titles from DIY, we had Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno. Chris Black,
That was another good match.
give your thoughts on that.
No. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to crap on this match. Not that I'm gonna
What?
crap. Yes, not that I'm gonna crap on Matt Riddle or Cassius Ohno. I just think that they don't have good chemistry. They don't have good match chemistry to me. I hope this feud is over and done with. I think Matt Riddle will probably work better with somebody else. Cassius Ohno looked I don't know, they just was a very odd mix. I was not into this match at all.
I'm just not a Cassius Ohno fan. Matt Riddle just looked like a star in this match, and he looked like someone that should already be on the main roster. From the way that he was depicted in this match, he beat the brakes off that boy.
Maybe I need to watch more on Matt Riddle, but I don't see nothing that you just said.
Who would you say belongs more on the main roster right now? And as much as I love him, I hate to say it, like he doesn't get to showcase what he can do on the main roster. If you had to pick between Matt Riddle and Elias, who are you putting on the main roster right now?
You said Elias?
Yeah, between Elias and Matt Riddle.
But I know what Elias can do in the ring, so I would pick Elias.
But have you seen
Wait.
Elias do more in the ring than you've seen of Matt Riddle in NXT?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to look at Elias's gimmick and how it's gotten over on the main roster. But when he first came up, people were giving Elias a side eye, questioning like, why is this guy coming to the main roster when he's coming when he was still the
To be
Drifter?
honest, I'm not even his gimmick's not even over with me. I want him to. It was over at first, and then now it's like, okay, now it's old. Let him wrestle now. I'm sick of the singing. Get over. He's not doing anything with it. But as a worker, he's a big dude. He can move. He can work. He's worth a lot more than they're doing. But so is a lot of people.
Yeah, but like I said, you look at if Matt Riddle was to come up to the main roster right now versus when Elias first came up to the main roster, which one would make more sense in your mind?
I'm gonna go with Matt Riddle.
Maybe it's the whole dude bro persona that I feel is kind of old.
You're entitled to that opinion, but I haven't been the biggest Cassius Ohno fan. This match was one of the weaker matches on the card. Actually, it was probably the weakest match on the card, in my opinion. But the right man won. And I don't. Everybody's talking about Cassius Ohno moving up to the main roster. I don't see it. He's going to be that NXT person that's down there that talent comes in to work with. There's no reason to move him up to the main roster. They already have a guy that wrestles in basketball shorts.
Yeah, Cassius Ohno will never be on the main roster. Sorry.
I'm gonna add my 2 cents to this. I didn't think it was overall. I didn't think it was a bad match at all. Now, it was probably the worst match on the card. However, it was a great card. So that kind of, doesn't sound as bad.
Well, yeah, I didn't say it was a bad match. I just said it was the weakest match on the card. And that's just in comparison to everybody else, because everybody else is flying around and zipping around the ring and doing all of that type of stuff. This was much more mat-based and to a degree psychological-based match.
And that's why maybe I think Matt Riddle, that's his kind of out of his element.
I think Cassius Ohno won. He needs new gear. I can't stand his gear that he has on. It's not flattering whatsoever.
He looks like a guy that's showing up to camp on a Sunday to learn how to take his first bump.
Yeah.
But to be honest, he's never been a body guy.
Well, we're not even talking about his body. He's just talking about his gear. But like I said, they already have a guy on the main roster that wears basketball shorts, and his name is Kevin Owens, and he's coming back soon. So as long as Kevin Owens exists, Cassius Ohno will never see the main roster, and I don't think Cassius Ohno has any problem with that. And
Which is
NXT
a shame because he's a pretty good worker. He's a pretty solid worker. It's a shame.
But are you taking him over KO?
No, not at this point in time.
Yeah.
He's not in his prime anymore.
Right. So
As Chris Hero in the Indies on his prime, I would definitely take Chris Hero. I'd take Chris Hero, not Cassius Ohno.
I think it was after this match we saw the Velveteen Dream show up to the arena in his finest that 70s gear.
Doing his best Godfather impression.
Someone said like JJ from Good Times.
JJ from Good Times, exactly. Get out the car, dynamite. Something from earlier too. It was the Sky Pirates versus Marina Shafir and Jasmine Duke.
Okay.
And then it was the Forgotten Sons versus the Street Profits.
There you go. Now you got the names. But following the Cassius Ohno match, we had, in my opinion, match of the year so far in Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano for the North American title. And my oh my, I have only one complaint about this match. One. And it's the same thing that you would hear from Jim Cornette. Too many damn kickouts. Too many false finishes.
True.
Oh my goodness.
Do you expect anything less?
Right. But these two guys had, in my opinion, it was top. It's top two in NXT history to me. Like I really enjoyed this match. The psychology was there. The moves were there. The finish, like everything, just worked perfectly. Like you never knew who was actually going to win it. And at the end of the day, either one of them could have taken it. And they put.
I will say it.
And I was gonna say, and just for the type of match that they had in this type of match, that it wasn't a false count anywhere match. But if you watch it, you would believe that it was a false count anywhere match or a no holds barred match. How much they put themselves through.
I will say, live there at the arena. Like there wasn't a time, I don't think, where people weren't on their feet for all of these false finishes. I mean, there were people literally going ape shit over these false finishes. And I know I was, because I was, like we talked on our last show, is I said it is time for Johnny Gargano. For Johnny Gargano to be taken seriously as a heel, he needs to get a belt. He is overdue a belt. And so when he finally won and got that 3 count, the crowd lost their shit, which is well deserved. I mean, it was a great match. I think it went like 85 minutes. Probably about 25 to 30, to be honest. But I mean, it was a great back and forth match. A lot of cool moves that you would expect from those two. And even though it was a great match, I've seen better out of both of them with other people, but it was still a good match.
Yeah, but have you seen better out of both of them in NXT against other people?
Yes.
Gargano
and Ciampa.
Yeah.
But that's the story. That's the whole story behind it, though, as well. That adds into it.
Plus, they got good chemistry.
Yeah. But go ahead, Chris.
Now, if they work a program, that chemistry will get better. So I think we'll probably, we'll see what happens with the North American Championship. Oh, wait, no.
Happy Black History Month.
Well, definitely. I'm with everyone else. This definitely was on the list. This started the list of match of the year. I'm going to compile a list as probably everyone else that does end of the year things, where this right now is number one as far as match of the year, or should I say the number one entry. It was a really, really good match. I get what you're saying, Truth, about how there was one too many false counts, and I see that there's a point now that that's what kind of wrestling is, and it does kind of add to the suspense. But I do miss the days where finishers meant something. When Jake the Snake hit that DDT, it was over. You know, Shawn Michaels hit that super kick. It was over.
Yeah, that's what I really
Hogan
liked.
hit the leg drop. It was over.
That's what I really liked about that first Okada and Omega match was that he kept trying to hit that one winged angel and he could never hit it, and he lost the match. And that was the storytelling, is that if he could have hit that one winged angel, it could have been over. And like you just said, we don't have that a lot nowadays.
Well, what it is nowadays is, your finisher is the DDT. So you hit the DDT in the match, they kick out. And then what you got to do is you got to hit it with a leg drop,
Now you
a
gotta
missile
win with a
drop
roll
kick.
up.
Then you got to scream, and then you got to pick them up, power bomb them in the corner, give them a shot to the gut, then give them the DDT. Then you can maybe get the 3 count.
The only finishers that are
But they
effective,
kick out the
the only finishers that are effective nowadays on the first attempt are the F5 and pretty much anything from the top rope that's not called the superplex or the Falcon Arrow, the Super Falcon Arrow.
I don't know. The F5, I've seen more people kick out the goddamn F5 than
No, the only people who've kicked out of the F5 in the past 3 years have been Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman.
Cena hasn't kicked out of that?
Not in the past 5 years.
When he took that ass whooping, he didn't kick out, or he didn't get a chance to.
He didn't kick out of that. He got decimated. Suplex City, remember, Suplex City was built on John Cena. His corpse is laying there somewhere under the basketball court.
Well, I will say, I know we're fast forwarding 2 shows, but Seth Rollins took 8 of them, and then he got up and said, "Give me some more."
Yeah, but that ain't the same as a kick out. And we know he's gonna kick out of it at Mania. So I think Daniel Bryan kicked out too, but yeah, so that's 3 people in the past 5 years. Samoa Joe wasn't allowed to kick out of it.
Goldberg?
Goldberg, did he? No, he didn't kick out, I don't think. I don't remember him kicking out of one.
Didn't Goldberg hit him with No.
Nah, I don't remember him kicking out of the F5. I think he even got pinned on one F5.
I don't know about that. I just feel like that they done lost his luster. I'm just call me old school, yes. But I'd rather the days of hit your finisher, win the match. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Sure, at WrestleMania it was cool to kick out of finishers because you put that extra little effort into it.
Well, I'm not going to skip ahead. We can go on to the next match, but we'll address that in the next match as well. I mean, not the next match, but in the match following our next match, which was the women's title, the NXT women's title. It was Shayna Baszler versus, why am I Bianca Belair, my girl Bianca Belair. That outfit she wore out to the ring. She had on the Mr. Ass fit. Basically,
yeah, I was not digging the long braided ponytail. I'm glad Shayna Baszler used it and pulled her.
You didn't like the Shiva when she started whipping her with it and cutting her open?
No.
That's the gimmick, bro. That's the gimmick.
I said what would have been hilarious if when Shayna Baszler pulled it, if it actually came off, I was like, man, that would have been hilarious. Snatch her wig.
That wouldn't have happened in real life.
She got that on rib. She got that on there tight. That ain't going nowhere. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I went into this match not thinking much of it. A little bit because I did not really see a lot of Bianca Belair's matches. I've seen her wrestle twice live when NXT came up here a couple times. I've seen her wrestle tag team matches. Wasn't super impressed by her, but I will say after this match, I'm definitely impressed by her. Because I thought the storytelling in the last bit of that match, when she was in that submission hold, and the way she fought her way back up, and it looked like she was using every ounce of might she had to not pass out and not tap out and go back down. And then finally, I thought the timing on it was perfect. I thought that the facials and the look in her eyes and the little thing with the fists, like she was like really, really trying to fight. She sold me. Like, I legit was sad she lost the match because she was fighting so hard.
Right.
So, to me, she was the rock star of the whole show.
I did not expect for her to pass out. I thought she definitely was going to tap. I think it went over better that she passed out.
Yeah, she pretty much ruined Becky's finish for the next night with Asuka. They didn't want to do that same finish 2 nights in a row, even though the fan base.
I think they don't. I didn't think they wanted Becky to seem too much like Stone Cold either. With the
too late for all of that now. And I'm not even like everybody keeps comparing Becky to Stone Cold. I'm comparing her to Daniel Bryan in 2013, 2014 more than anything. But following that, I didn't get my thoughts on that match. I thought this match was great. I was in the same boat as Xavier, Mustafa, where I hadn't seen a whole bunch of Bianca Belair matches, but this was the performance of her lifetime as far as what probably a lot of people have seen, especially based on what people were saying about her online, and even Sam Roberts' comments about her, saying whether that was from him or that was from the people in the back telling him to say it about she's not ready, she doesn't belong in the main event or whatever of the women's division or whatever it may be. He's not the only one who had that opinion. I saw a lot of that online, but after seeing that match, I don't see how anybody could be arguing against this girl anymore. So
she's still green.
She's still green, which also means that she just has time to get better. That's also why they didn't put.
Right.
That's
right.
also
Let's
why.
Not,
that's also why they didn't put the
not
belt
rush
on her. Yeah, that's also why they didn't put the belt on her. It's not hot shot her. To me, I'm a big Sasha. I like Sasha Banks, but I think that Bianca Belair does Sasha Banks' character better than Sasha Banks does her character these days. So there's a lot of upside to her
these days, but we'll get into Sasha Banks later.
Right. Next up, we had our main event. Aleister Black taking on Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Heavyweight Championship or Championship. And this match was great too. It wasn't better than the Ricochet match, but this was one hell of a match. And like we just said, what you said earlier, the best matches that you've seen from in NXT were Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and this one featured Tommaso Ciampa, so we knew that it was going to be a pretty good match. I liked the finish. It was kind of what we talked about earlier, where he had hit the not the dream. What is it called? The what is Tommaso Ciampa?
Fairy tale ending?
Huh?
Fairy tale ending?
Yeah, the fairy tale ending. That's what it is. Yeah, the fairy tale ending. He hit the fairy tale ending a couple of times in the match, and it didn't end it. But at the end, he made sure to put the exclamation marks on that move. Hitting it back to back to get the pinfall over Aleister Black to retain the NXT Championship. What did you guys think of this match? And how was the crowd reacting to this match? Were they tired by this point of the night?
No, not at all. Crowd didn't miss a beat. They were popping for all the falsies, all the moves. I mean, oh my God. I think it was a black mass that he hit on Tommaso. And I mean, the crowd lost their shit. And of course, I think it was a kick out, I believe, after that, or he rolled out or something like that. I don't know. I thought the ending of the match was a little disappointing.
Definitely anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic. But I mean, I think Aleister Black and Tommaso Ciampa, I think they're one of the two people that can't have a bad match with anybody. Hands down, the two of the best performers they have in NXT with I'm adding Johnny Gargano to that too. Those three, I don't think can have a bad match with anybody. They're great talents. I will be interested to see what happens with them next, as far as main roster call-ups and stuff like that. Or they may just be kept down in NXT just to kind of help everybody else out. But whatever they do with them, man, I just can't wait, man. They're such great talents.
Yeah, one thing. Well, actually, Chris Black, go ahead and give your thoughts.
Well, going into this pay-per-view, I thought that this was going to be the match of the night. And like you said, it comes into a very close second. The ending was a little disappointing. I thought it'd be a little more, an exciting end. But all around, it was still a very good match. And I agree. Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano. Yeah, I don't think they can have a bad match with anybody. You'd be hard pressed to see a bad match. I saw someone. I think I'm being a troll too much in these Facebook groups, but I saw someone talking about Johnny Gargano is overrated, and I asked him. I just said, okay, could you just please name one bad Johnny Gargano match? And there was no response.
Of course, that's what people do nowadays. They want to spit out these opinions, and you're like, okay, back up your opinion. They got nothing to say.
Yeah, they
Like
make it
people-
seem like they want all the smoke, but they don't want none. They firefighters. One thing that this NXT show did kind of show, though, is that, like you said, we see who they called up to the main roster, and we see who's still down in NXT. One thing about this show that you kind of, when you actually go back and you look at it, it kind of makes you wonder. Well, it doesn't make you wonder, but you can kind of see why they're keeping the Johnny Garganos, the Tommaso Ciampas, the Aleister Blacks down there, and the Velveteen Dreams, and those guys down there. Like, I know Velveteen Dream is still pretty green as well, but they're leaving these guys down there a little bit longer because one thing NXT has been doing is getting kind of away from their foundation, which was homegrown talent. They've been bringing in a lot of indie talent, people who've been on the road for multiple years and different things like that. And they've kind of gotten away from the focus on developing their in-house talent on the NXT show, especially in the tag team division, because now that the War Raiders have the titles, who's the next tag team that can legitimately challenge them? Now that this Aleister Black and Tommaso Ciampa, we know that it's not over, but it's partially not over because where would we go from there as far as someone pursuing that championship belt? Same thing with the NXT title, even though we did have a title change in Velveteen Dream taking the North American title off of Johnny Gargano's hands, which I've read the news. I don't know what the circumstances were surrounding it. So we'll have to see. You have to tune into our podcast next Saturday to find out, once we find out what the circumstances were, if it was if it's due to injury or if they really gave him the belt. Because when you look at the end of the NXT show, which we're at the end of the NXT show, you have Johnny Gargano standing side by side with Tommaso Ciampa, and them both holding up the titles. With that being said, it looks like the storyline is going to be furthered through these titles. We do know that tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but Saturday, we have Worlds Collide, the NXT show, and then Sunday during the Super Bowl, we have the Halftime Heat, where it's going to be a 6-man tag of the Velveteen Dream, Ricochet, and who's the third? Oh, Aleister Black taking on Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Adam Cole. So we know we're looking forward to that. But just looking, like I said, looking at the NXT crop of talent, it's easy to kind of see why these guys are at the top of the field and why they were the ones that weren't moved up. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Well, Triple H said one of the things that, he wants people to stop worrying about is when people are going to be called up to the main roster, because a lot of people aren't going to be called up to the main roster. He's like, NXT is his own brand, just like Raw and SmackDown are. So there may be some people that will never get called up to the main roster. There may be people that will stay in NXT their entire careers. There may be people that will come down from Raw and SmackDown to NXT and make a home there. It's kind of whatever the business dictates at that point, which makes a lot of sense, because I think a lot of people do view NXT as its own thing, and they would rather a lot of their superstars stay there, because we kind of see sometimes what happens when you move up to the quote-unquote main roster. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you,
Right.
Put it nicely.
Right. And so I mentioned the ending of the show, which was pretty much the false finish. They did a false finish at the end of the show. Later on WWE.com, they showed what happened after Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano were standing side by side. They were confronted by the Velveteen Dream, who came out to basically taunt them and and to antagonize them. Then he was joined on stage by Aleister Black and Ricochet, and then Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were joined by Adam Cole. A brawl broke out on the stage. They brawled to the back of the arena, and were eventually broken up by officials and Triple H. How did this go down at the show? Were people clearing out of the arena already? Were you still there? How did this go down in the arena? Did you guys get to see any of this?
It was actually funny because Gargano and Ciampa went and did their thing, and then Adam Cole came out and Velveteen Dream and all that came out. And then but right when the match ended, a lot of people got up from their seats and started to leave. And so I'm like, well, you're not supposed to leave. So it's like a Marvel movie. You don't know what's going to happen. All right. So then that all started happening. So then you saw a bunch of people actually come back to kind of see what was happening. They showed from when they went in the back all the way till Triple H came out. And, so we got to see all of that. That was actually shown on the website later on.
Okay.
And so people were chanting, "Let them fight." When Triple H came out, people started chanting for Triple H because it actually looked when Triple H went through the curtains. We actually thought he was coming out to the arena and he was going to make a match right then and there. But then we were like, "Oh, wasn't those curtains? Okay, let's go home now."
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how that went down in the arena, or what you guys got to see of that. So then, following NXT on Saturday night, we had the WWE's big show, first big show of the year. Got us on the road to WrestleMania. The road to WrestleMania starts with the Royal Rumble, goes through the Elimination Chamber, followed by Fastlane, and then we have WrestleMania. So this was the beginning of the road. And on the kickoff show, the first match we had was the makeshift team of Razor and Scott Dawson taking on Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. If Razor and Scott Dawson won the match, their respective tag teams would get a future championship opportunity. And obviously that would have been very convoluted, so that is not what happened. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable retained. Thoughts on this match? I don't have any. I didn't really even pay it any attention.
I don't have any thoughts on this match because I didn't get to see this match because the time that was on our tickets were after this match. So by the time we got there, we realized that there were matches going on. We were quite upset about it, but, it is what it is.
I really didn't give a damn about this match. As soon as the makeshift tag team kind of came out, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I heard AOP's music, I was like, I thought that Akam was injured. And then I heard Scott Dawson come out and them make the announcement of how it was going to work. And I was like, yeah, this whole three-way thing isn't going to work. You guys aren't doing anything with the Revival. You're not doing anything with AOP. Neither one of them are believable of winning those tag team belts, even if they did get the opportunity.
Now, isn't this sad that there is no other tag team on Raw deserving of a title match? Is that not sad?
Very.
Yeah, very much so. That's why I'm saying NXT, like you look at NXT, they have a lot of tag teams down there and they have great tag team matches. You look at the main roster, it's Lucha House Party, the Revival, AOP, which one of them is injured, and then Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
And the thing is, do you not think that the Revival, anyway?
And I think the Ascension are on Raw, but they're not doing anything either.
They could have just had the top guys go in there and handle business.
They're on SmackDown.
Dawson Dawson?
Oh no, not top guys. Never mind. I was thinking Good Brothers.
Oh.
But next up, we had Shinsuke Nakamura defeating Rusev to become the new United States champion. Shinsuke won the match due to distraction by Lana falling off the ring apron and twisting her ankle.
I like
number 2. I was like, the hell with this match. And I'm sorry, I like both of these guys, but what are they doing?
Hot potato.
Never mind. I was just disgusted. I think that Rusev and Nakamura are both worth way more. I don't know if they don't give a damn or WWE don't give a damn, but I definitely didn't give a damn about this match.
Yeah, there was no point to the match, to be honest, but yeah, it was still a decent match, I thought. I like to finish with the, Rusev checking on his wife and then getting, pinned, or getting Shashaka and then pinned. Uh, but so I have to look at this match at two different ways. So first, looking at it from watching it then when it happened, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, regular match. Oh, that's sweet. He carried his wife back to the backstage. I was like, okay, that's cute. Now we know what's gonna happen. We're not gonna spoil that yet. So that just made it even sweeter. But we'll get there.
One thing that was funny about this match to me was when Lana did get knocked off the apron and Rusev is standing there on the ropes and he's yelling, "Get up, Lana! Get up, Lana!" I thought that was hilarious because it reminded me. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Meteor Man. If anybody out there has seen that, when he got knocked out and his dog was barking at him, "Get up, get up, Jeff, get up." It just reminded me of that. I thought it was kind of funny. Next up, we had the Cruiserweight Champion, Buddy Murphy, taking on Kalisto, Akira Tozawa, and Hideo Itami in a fatal four-way match. Bobby Murphy retained, and there is no way in effing hell that Buddy Murphy is under 205. This man has got to be like 230.
What?
They worked their butts off in that match.
Yeah, that
I was...
For as little time as they were given about 15 minutes for a fatal four-way with these guys. They went in there and they killed it.
I was thinking, why are they burying Hideo Itami? But at the same time, I was still happy that Buddy Murphy won.
And he looked like a champion.
Yes,
like
he represents the cruiserweights well. Even though he's not a cruiserweight.
Yeah, he was in the mix for every fall. Like I don't really remember him powdering out of the ring really, besides giving Hideo and Tozawa their little moment in the ring. So yeah, they worked their butts off. The ending didn't seem anticlimactic. Like it was a dominant defense by Buddy Murphy. And watching the match, I was sitting there. I was like, I want to see Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black. I want to see that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Well, we saw that they moved up Mustafa Ali to the regular roster. Maybe that's just their way of just kind of starting to do that.
And motivating the guys, I guess. Like, hey, you guys aren't just stuck down here. And while we're on this match, I do want to say we all predicted Hideo Itami to win. When we all felt that he was supposed to get that push and he couldn't really stay healthy, and now it's been announced that he's heading back to Japan or wherever he's heading. We know that he changed his name back to Kenta on his social media pages, so he's out.
I thought we'll hit on that when we do our 205 live coverage. Never mind. He did wrestle who did he wrestle? I think it was Akira Tozawa.
And he
jobbed it out. 205 live. And he lost and then he got turned on by Ari Daivari.
Okay.
He asked for his release.
I'm sorry, but no loss because he really didn't have the opportunity to do anything.
And that's not a dig at him. And I can't even put that on the WWE that he didn't get the opportunity. Like, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well wishes to him. Next up, and this I gotta ask because I feel like the WWE does something very crazy on these shows nowadays, and I really hate it, especially looking back. We got HD televisions. We got better sound than we've ever had on these televisions and in our homes. And I remember growing up watching Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, and the crowd noise was mixed in pretty well with the commentary. The WWE does this thing nowadays where the commentary is so loud that you can't even really hear the crowd reactions. How was it for the first match of the main card, which was the SmackDown Women's Champion Asuka taking on Becky Lynch and Asuka retaining. What was the crowd like for this match? Because, like I said, the audio mix that WWE uses nowadays is complete trash, and it can take you out of the experience when you're watching at home.
When I say the crowd was hot for Becky, the crowd was hot for Becky. Like, from her entrance all the way until she walked away to the back. The cool thing about it is they did give Asuka her respect, though. Like, they didn't, do it so much where, like, it would, like, annoy her or anything, because they still gave her respect. But the crowd was pretty loud for that match.
What was the reaction? Did it take the air out of the room when Becky tapped clean?
To everybody else, yes. To me, no. And the reason why no is because I did predict on our last show, I said that if the women's championship happens first, that Becky Lynch will lose because she would have the role to play in the Royal Rumble. And I'll continue that once we get to the Royal Rumble itself. So when she lost clean, and I was like, okay, you keep Asuka strong. That's really not going to hurt Becky too much because Becky's still over. I'm cool with it.
Okay. Now, so let me be the devil's advocate. Now, the match itself was a good match.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think by tapping out to Asuka, winning, okay, we all know, okay, so spoilers, winning the Women's Royal Rumble and challenging Ronda, not the woman who tapped her, challenging another woman, it could be said that maybe she's scared of Asuka.
All right, we're going to skip around. We can skip around. It's fine. I get that. That is a valid point. However, I will look at it as she's been trying to get at Ronda Rousey's ass for the longest and has no way to do it on SmackDown. So she has to take this opportunity while she has it. So that's the way it works in my mind. I don't know if they necessarily really told that story on television, or they really didn't, but I agree with you. I think she should have went back after Asuka, but then again, she still had that in the back of her mind with Ronda Rousey. So that's kind of unfinished business that I feel that she wants to take care of first.
Yeah, I think
it's just, I don't know, just what you call a plot hole.
Yeah, I see it kind of going two ways with the storytelling on that. One could be like I didn't like you never really want to come out and say that, like, I didn't care about my championship match because I wanted to go face the baddest bitch on the planet or whatever. So, like, I didn't really care about the Asuka match. And then the other thing is, the other storytelling that they could do is that she tapped out to Asuka. Now she's going to face the tap out specialist, which we hadn't seen Ronda win a match by submission in a while. As far as using her arm bar, she's been pinning people over the past couple of months. So for them to now have Ronda doing the submissions a little bit more, I feel, and it's kind of funny, when Asuka had her undefeated streak, they were counting everything. They were counting her tag matches. They were counting her singles matches. Like, anything that Asuka was involved in, they weren't going to let her lose because that would be a damper on her record that she had a loss. With Ronda Rousey, they didn't do that. Ronda Rousey had a loss, but she hasn't taken the pinfall yet. Based on the way that things have played out, I don't think Ronda Rousey's going into WrestleMania undefeated. I think she's gonna go in there with a blemish on her record. Maybe that blemish is the tag team match. Maybe that's the blemish on her record. And they go in there and say she's never been defeated one-on-one or whatever. But they had to put that chink in Becky Lynch's armor that the possibility of her tapping out to the armbar could happen. So from a storytelling aspect, it makes sense why she tapped out. A lot of people were saying, oh, she should have passed out instead of tapping out. But like I said, I think you gain more by her tapping out. Like I said, she doesn't lose anything as long as she comes back out for the Royal Rumble and wins it all. So she didn't lose anything.
Well, look,
Asuka could have, hit her with something really hard and pinned her. I think maybe I have a problem with her tapping out.
Well, I think some of the storytelling in the match was laid out pretty well because it wasn't like she just got her in the random. I forgot what she calls her finisher. Asuka,
The Oscar
but
lock.
it wasn't like, yeah, the
Oscar
Asuka.
lock.
It wasn't like they put her in the Oscar lock out of nowhere. They actually went back and forth on submissions for a little bit, and then she ended up getting caught in it finally. So I think it actually told a story that, hey, when it comes down to submission grappling, Becky can kind of hold her own a little bit. She's not as skilled as Asuka, but she can hold her on, and she can probably hold her own with Ronda Rousey. So I'm gonna go with that.
All right. So then next up, we had the best in the world tag team, Shane McMahon and The Miz defeating the Bar for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship.
I'm just
So
waiting for the team to implode.
so for this one, I went to go get me something to eat. Bathroom. No lie. I'm not even making this up to be funny. And then the match was over, and I walked back, and I asked the guy next to me what happened. I was like, "How did they win?" He was like, "Oh, he did a shooting star press." I was like, "What?" I was
Dude,
like, "Okay."
what the fuck?
Yeah, this was a blink and you miss it match. I think we all predicted that Shane and the Miz. No, I know I predicted that Shane and the Miz were gonna win
Yeah.
to set something up. So they it was a match. That's pretty much what I can say. It happened. Everybody's waiting for for the storyline to be advanced. It really did not get advanced here with the Miz's dad and everything. Even it's kind of skipping ahead. Even on SmackDown, it still wasn't really pushed any further than what we got at Royal Rumble. So, but we got 2 more months.
The payoff better be worth it. That's all I gotta say. Otherwise, if it just fizzles and it's a dud, I'm gonna be pissed. Because again, the Miz is worth so much more. Like this better lead to something. I would love to see a Miz. Why am I saying this? Miz Shane match. Maybe because I'm looking forward to Miz just absolutely beating the hell out of Shane. I think Miz need to show a little more aggression.
Yeah, I don't know where Miz is at a strange point in his career right now. It's like he's stuck in limbo. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know which direction. Are you gonna be a face? You gonna be a heel? I know you said you want to see the heel Shane McMahon. I think that would be pretty cool. I think we definitely would have gotten that if this lowest ratings in history and new era stuff hadn't happened. But I think now that the whole family is trying to play nice and placate the fans, I can't really see Shane going heel. So we'll see if we're going to get a vicious heel side of the Miz. The one thing I do like about this is that the Miz has lost the whole I'm a Hollywood A-lister star persona, like to take a break from that. That's pretty that's kind of nice, but
Yeah, well, that's just like his uber heel persona. So
right.
he's trying to not seem like a heel right now, which is kind of brilliant.
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut.
Good shit.
All right, and then next up we had the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey defeating Sasha Banks. What do we think of this match?
Well, first, let me say it was hilarious being in the arena because every time somebody come out, put the countdown on the screen, everybody like 10, 9, 8. And then you would get a host of, well, I don't say a host of reactions, but you usually get one of 3 reactions. One is like, yeah, oh my God. The other one is like, who? There was a lot of who's. And then one would be like, oh, let's see, Nia Jax got the
Hold up. What?
Yeah, you were ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I just said we had the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey defeating Sasha Banks.
Oh, I thought we was the Battle Royal. I thought we was in the Royal Rumble. My bad.
I'm like, did I miss something?
Yeah, I was very confused. I'm like, what the hell?
I'm sorry, I got my bad.
So when Sasha Banks came out, they didn't know who it was. It's boss time, as Michael Cole would let you know.
Everybody gave the 2 ladies their respect, and I thought they had a good match as well. Again, I like that At the end, you had her going for the bank statement and them doing their roles and everything to get into other submissions and stuff like that to kind of show them like, yeah, you're the submission specialist because you're the UFC girl, but we know what we're doing here too. So I thought that was pretty good. Finish was decent. I kind of didn't understand why Sasha Banks would kind of diss her at the end.
I do.
But I'm like, okay, are y'all trying to set up the four horsewomen deal? Or y'all not? I don't know what y'all doing. I thought that was kind of weird.
I'm gonna explain this match from two different viewpoints. One as someone who's works in the business, and one who's just viewing as a viewer. So as a viewer, I was watching the match. I was like, oh, okay, pretty good match, back and forth. It was very interesting. No real complaints, but I wasn't really paying. Honestly, I really wasn't paying close attention to it. Then after the pay-per-view and afterwards, like a day or so later, I hear people talking crap about the match, saying that it was kind of botchy. So I actually went back and watched it earlier today, and I actually watched it from the perspective of a worker now. Now, I do a lot of comparisons between Ronda and Shayna Baszler because I think that Shayna Baszler is a superior performer compared to Ronda Rousey. So, right away, Ronda, Mustafa, please, please back me up here. Ronda blew the first two spots, the two arm drag spots. She blew both of them.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Those look sloppy.
They were, and they had reattempted the second one with the foot roll or whatever. And I'm just like, it looked bad. Ronda flops around a lot. Like, she moves too much, and that can cause injury because people they don't want to hit a moving target. She like flops around just way too much. She bumps out of position. Sasha Banks was bumping and falling on top of her a lot during the match. Again, I know she's green, and the reason why she's in her spot is because of who she is. But I'm not going to back off on my statement that I do believe that Shayna Baszler, compared to Ronda Rousey, is a superior performer. Period. But it wasn't a bad match. Sasha Banks did her best to carry her. I'm not on the Ronda train. I'm really not. I don't think she's deserving of that title. She should have came in as a heel, maybe Stephanie McMahon's enforcer. I think she sucks as a babyface.
My opinion of Ronda, I think I understand why she has the title, and it's because she has that name for herself already. Yeah, like it's like those people get those honorary doctorates. Like, well, you didn't go to school. We just get you honorary doctorate because you're some famous person. It's kind of like the same thing. Like, you're given the WWE, I guess you could say the rub, but because she used to be in UFC, and eyes are going to be on the product because of her, so we're going to give you this because of that. Which I don't think is necessarily her fault either, but I guess as long as she's not hurting anybody, I guess it's okay. I guess.
Right, and she's humble, What?
Yeah, to me, this was one of Sasha Banks's, like you said, it was a botchy match. Sasha put on a great performance for Ronda. She was bumping her ass off, and that's also one thing I will give Ronda. I know, like you said, you guys are workers, so as far as properly falling, I don't know how well Ronda does that, but I do know that she does bump her ass off, and she emotes well in the ring. That's one area that I think Shayna Baszler kind of lacks in, is emoting in the ring.
I'll give Ronda that. She does a really good job selling for her opponent. She's not I'm super Goku or where I'm not up on my anime, but she's not, the Brock Lesnar, so to speak. She does sell. She does, she's she looks like she can be beat, even though she hasn't been, but she can be.
Right, and I know we kind of went off on a tangent. I know Xavier was asking about, he didn't really understand why Sasha would still diss Ronda following the match. And it's kind of, I can see it from the perspective of, you didn't necessarily beat me. I beat myself, but I also took you to the limit. Like, I caught you in things that you hadn't seen yet. because when she put her in that Rings of Saturn, or like it was like it was a modified Rings of Saturn, but I was like, I know coming from, I've done some MMA training before, and the reason I don't do it professionally and everything is because I lack flexibility. Seeing Ronda's arms going back like that, I was like, how the hell is she not tapping? Like, her shoulder is going to pop out. I was like, are they going to do the shoulder popped out of socket spot with Ronda? That's what I thought they were going to do. So to see Ronda allow Sasha to get that close to it appearing like she was going to lose, I think that was a great visual. And it also shows the lengths that it's actually going to take for someone to defeat Ronda Rousey. So I enjoyed the match. Like I said, it was sloppy in the beginning. The chemistry was kind of off. The time, I'm not even going to say the chemistry was off, because the chemistry came there. They were rushing. When they first came out there, they were rushing. And I think that's where it all came down to for those first 3 minutes of the match. And you could kind of see Sasha telling her, hey, calm down, relax, breathe, or whatever. So, yeah, it happened. Next up, we had the 30-woman Royal Rumble match that Xavier Mustafa's already kind of commented on. There were one thing I did really enjoy about this, as much as I enjoy nostalgia, I love the fact that there wasn't really any nostalgia. The WWE was putting over their lesser-known talent and up-and-coming talent a lot in this match. The most wasted spot in the match, though, wasted space, was the Maria Kanellis and Alicia Fox parts.
See, I thought Maria Kanellis was just put in there just to make people look good, because she went there and she took everybody's bumps.
Oh, and then who else? Because pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. And then Lacey Evans and Charlotte paid a lot of attention to her.
I think one of my favorite spots in the Rumble was when Zelina Vega was under the ring.
Yeah, and your boy Hornswoggle came out.
horny I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. And when his head popped up, I kind of died laughing.
I definitely didn't see that coming.
I had saw the reports earlier in the day that Hornswoggle was going to be involved in the Rumble. So, it was something else I was going to say about this match. I heard a lot of people complaining about Lacey Evans. They were like, she's super green. She got exposed in this Rumble match. What did you think about Lacey Evans' performance?
I think a Rumble match, you really can't see much of anything. So I thought she was okay. Maybe I should watch it I'll give it a second watch, but I didn't think anything. I thought, if anything, she was impressive as far as size goes. Charlotte's a pretty big girl, but Lacey Evans is pretty big herself.
Yeah, they were the same
I like
size.
the gimmick. I don't know if it was here or on Raw that she was on, and the moves that she were doing didn't look all that great. So yeah, I agree with that. She did come off a little super green.
I was surprised that Rhea Ripley showed up. I expected some NXT UK people.
I'm in love with Rhea Ripley right now. When she came out and I saw, and she started doing her thing in the ring. I don't watch NXT UK, but I'm going to start. I was like, this girl is a star.
Yes.
A star. And,
dude.
And I don't know what her background is, but she legitimately looks like she could give Shayna Baszler a run for her money in that ring.
Like I said at the UK takeover, there's no way that Tony Stark Storm, sorry. There's no way Tony Stark could have beaten Rhea Ripley. No. Tony Storm, there's no way she should have won that match. No way.
Yeah, but also, I'm not going to get into the UK thing, but yeah, Rhea Ripley looks like a star. I'm in love with that woman right now. Her and Xia Li were the two most impressive women in the Rumble that I hadn't had much exposure to, especially Xia Li, the first Chinese WWE superstar. When she came in there, I was like, oh, okay. She's a Chinese Oscar because she came in there with those kicks and those elbows and everything. I was like, wow. I was impressed by her as well. She a tiny little thing. Oh, speaking of tiny, I can never pronounce her last name, but the American Ninja Warrior, Casey or Lacey.
Casey Canzanero.
Yeah.
Is that the one who did the handstand?
Yeah, her little tiny self. She was putting in that work in the ring. I don't ever see her making it to the main roster to do much besides maybe feud with Zelina Vega. But yeah, she was impressive with her little rope moves and her climbing back up the corner, the turnbuckle or whatever to get back into the match or whatever.
Okay, so I know we messaged each other, but I wasn't digging the whole. It's like, so everyone's stealing Kofi's spot now.
Actually, I like it because I'm tired of Kofi being the only one that can do something.
Well, Kofi said he ran out of ideas. So
but that's his thing now. That's his gimmick. Like, I guess if he don't mind sharing it, but
well, think about it. This is the first time they let a white person do that spot. They always give it to the black people. Like, hey, you guys are athletic. You want this spot?
Well,
because it's always been Naomi and Kofi Kingston.
Who else did one?
And the only other white person I can think of that ever did the spot is John Morrison, and he was doing it before Kofi.
Well, I was gonna say I really liked Naomi's because it was like they ended up with heat at the end of it.
Yeah, it was almost like they watched your TC3 versus your Rumble match that happened at Legacy when he was gonna hop back in the ring and got yanked off the apron.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just happy to be a good writer. You know what I'm saying? I think somebody needs to give me a job up there in Connecticut.
But any other thoughts on this women's Rumble? Or we want to skip to the main portion of it? Anybody else you were impressed by that you hadn't really seen or been exposed to that did their thing in there? We know Natalya. They always give her the Iron Woman spot in the Rumble.
Man, she was in there like the whole time. I like the pop that Nikki Cross got. I saw the little report that WWE is like, oh, they're thinking about doing something with Nikki Cross because of the pop she got. I'm like, first of all, Nikki Cross always gets a good pop. Sanity gets a good pop. I know you don't know that because y'all don't put Sanity on TV, but
And we've yet to see all of them in the ring together.
Did they forget what being over was? Like, are they just blind?
You know what? When we get done with all this coverage, remind me to talk about that and the whole Becky Lynch situation. But let's see.
You don't want to share with the fans?
No, my thing is like a lot of people like to say that like a lot of people got a problem with Becky Lynch's situation right now because they feel that like how do I word it? Now they're trying to say that they feel like they're throwing Becky Lynch down our throats or whatever. They don't understand why she's over and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, the reason why Becky is over as she is right now is because she got the fans behind her organically. There was nothing that WWE did specifically that was, hey, we're forcing Becky Lynch down her throat. They just let Becky Lynch do her thing, and then she happened to start getting over. Same thing happened to Stone Cold. Stone Cold was the ringmaster. Do anybody remember Stone Cold as ringmaster? No. They remember him as Austin. Austin 316 says, I just kicked your ass. How did that come about? Oh, they just let him do his thing, and he cut a promo and said, hey, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. And guess what? He got popular. He got over. Rocky Maivia, trash. But guess what they kept doing?
Die, Rocky, die.
Right. They kept giving him a microphone. It was like, hey, this guy can actually connect with the crowd, and he got himself over. That's one of the big things about wrestling now versus wrestling back then. Wrestling back then, they would allow you to get yourself over. They didn't write your promos for you. They didn't do all the extra stuff for you. They let you go out there and do your thing. If you got over, you got pushed. I don't know how that's changed nowadays, where the WWE feels like they have to put over who they want to put over, and they're going to make this person get over. That's not how it works. And as soon as you try to do that, the fans are going to shit on it. And it's kind of the reason why I wanted to wait to the end of it, but we can talk about it now. This whole rumor about them putting Charlotte in Ronda Rousey's and Becky Lynch's match. If you do that, I'm going to go on record to say right now, that is the worst thing you can do ever in the history of wrestling. Is to add somebody to this match that is going to completely take away from it, because the fans don't want a three-way. The fans don't want Charlotte in nowhere near that match, because Charlotte is in a place right now where they're gonna either fuck her over or they're gonna let her be a star. And if they put her in this match, they are gonna fuck her over, because people are gonna have so much resentment and so much hate for her because they put her in that match. They're gonna give her. She's gonna get the Roman Reigns treatment. Every time she comes on screen, they're gonna boo the show.
She's gonna get the Xbox.
If they let Becky and what's her name, Ronda have her match, fans are gonna be cool with it. Have her do something with Asuka. Have her do something with anybody else. She does not need to be the main event of WrestleMania. Charlotte is still a star. Let her be a star. Don't hinder her growth. Don't put her in a situation that she is not going to recover from. And they are going to do it, and it is going to suck. And I'm going to hate every minute of it, as well as all of the Becky Lynch fans that I'm
You got
so
something? You got something, CV?
Mustafa, you understand they've already laid the groundwork, though. If she would have never interfered with Charlotte and Becky's match with Asuka, because she screwed both of them over for the belt. So Charlotte's got just a legitimate gripe against Ronda Rousey, as Becky does.
I get it, but she'll strike down. Leave her
The only argument that I've heard that is a legitimate argument, and I will give it to him. This was coming from Wrestling Soup and the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show. Is another podcast. They said this: the only way that it makes sense to add Charlotte to this match is if they don't have the confidence in Ronda Rousey to deliver. Because as we saw at the Royal Rumble, and as we kind of saw on Monday night when Ronda was cutting her promo and her match with Bayley following that, when she gets nervous and gets rattled, it's not good in the ring. And you guys are workers. When your nerves are high and you're rushing through your spots, people get hurt. Bad things happen. So the only argument that, like I said, that I heard that made sense was they said they add Charlotte to this match. So if Ronda Rousey gets anxiety and starts rushing spots and all of those different things, Charlotte is there to cover her ass. So what would be your thoughts on that then? Like I said, adding Charlotte just as an insurance policy pretty much to if Ronda can't perform, or if they are just feeling nervous about, we're going to be in this big stadium and you're not going to be in there with a Triple H to guide you through. You're going to be in there as much as we know that Becky is considered a veteran now. This would be the biggest match around Ronda Rousey's career in wrestling.
I still wouldn't risk doing it. I mean, because you have a whole match where every time Charlotte's in the ring, they're going to be born. Every time Ronda's in the ring, she's going to be born. And every time Becky's in the ring, they're going to be cheering. And then if they don't pull Becky over, then all real hell is going to break loose in MetLife Stadium.
Okay, so, and also when they do the triple threat like that, that means that potentially Ronda doesn't have to be involved in the finish. So she can still go and never be pinned, which is bullshit. I think if they're going to give the women's title the main event, I do believe it should be Becky versus Ronda Rousey. And if they do not have the faith in Ronda Rousey to produce, then maybe they shouldn't give her that spot.
Here's what I would do if they really feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And right now, it doesn't really. Asuka doesn't have a competitor, and there's nobody on SmackDown that legitimately can come up that we could see facing her for that title at WrestleMania besides Charlotte. So maybe they got 2 months to work on that. So let's say they do come up with somebody from SmackDown to face Asuka for the SmackDown title. easily turning Becky Lynch into an even bigger badass. Charlotte gets added to the match. Becky takes her out before the match, like no, this is my time to shine or whatever, and she kicks Charlotte's ass backstage, and Charlotte is unable to perform in that match. And if they want to do that and even push the narrative a little bit further, you can even have the match going on. Charlotte hobbles her ass down to the ring, gets taken out again, and not even able to get involved in the match, even though she tried to be. That'll give Charlotte still that nuclear heat, but if she doesn't actually get in there and have anything to do with the finish of the match, then it wouldn't make a difference.
I may be biased. I just don't want to know in there.
I agree with you. I don't think that Charlotte needs to be in the match, but the WWE has already laid the groundwork to include her eventually.
I mean, just think about going back to what we were initially talking about before we went deep into this. I mean, the Royal Rumble, Lana comes out, she's limping. The next opponent comes out, which I think at that point was Nia Jax. Nia Jax beats her up. She gets in the ring. Carmella comes out as number 30. Finn Finley's out there. Becky Lynch comes out. Crowd loses its mind. She looks at Finn Finley. Finn Finley looks at her. She's like, put me in the Rumble. Finn's like, all right. Her music hits. Crowd loses their shit. Which, when I say they're losing their shit, it's not the same level of losing shit. Like, this is a higher level now. All right. Chanting her name, yelling, screaming. I mean, there was not a more over person in that building than Becky Lynch that night. Becky Lynch goes in there. She's wrestling. She gets injured. They're about to award Charlotte the match. She comes in there. She damn near pushes the referee out the way so that she doesn't raise her hand. She said, no, this is my time. This is my moment. Let's do this. And then eliminate Charlotte Flair with a hurt knee. Like, it was a great, man, I'm telling you, like, if that's not a way to help to build a babyface, I don't know how. Now, granted, her and Ronda Rousey's a babyface too, but I mean, I think like right now, for all extent and purposes, Ronda's the man right now. No pun intended. She is the man. It needs to be her and Ronda Rousey, hands down. I think anything else, you just shit on everything that y'all just built with her, that she just built with her. That's like if you had, I don't know, Stone Cold versus The Rock or something like that, and then you threw, I don't know, Mankind in there randomly. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. So I don't know what they're gonna do. They've laid the groundwork, but like I said, there's no real competitors on SmackDown right now. So and Asuka's not sitting out of freaking WrestleMania. If they do that's a travesty to Asuka. That's a travesty to the women's title on SmackDown.
See, there's no competitors because they haven't built anybody. They can only focus on a couple people at a time because reasons.
But let's just assume,
I mean,
just to kind of play armchair booker, and we're not gonna get in depth with like how the story would be built. But let's say they do add Charlotte to the Raw match. It wouldn't make sense because how is she gonna earn her way onto this Raw match or whatever? But still, who legitimately on SmackDown would be the one to face Asuka if Charlotte's out?
Nobody. It has to be Charlotte. And I think the storyline they can tell with that is Charlotte is they can say,
we ain't gonna do the storyline. I just wanted to know who.
Charlotte. That's it. That's all the option you got.
Yeah, Ember Moon is hurt. They'd have to move someone from Raw. And even then,
you think they could build up? Is she on Raw or SmackDown? You think that they could Sanity Girl?
I have to say, do you think Nikki Cross would be a good mix with Asuka?
Well, they faced in NXT like several times. The Iconics should be busy with the tag team scene. I don't want them anywhere near the. the Iconics, Maria Kanellis, and I'm not even gonna put Alicia Fox there because I like the Alicia Fox backbreaker through the ropes that she did in the Royal Rumble. But the Iconics were terrible in the Rumble, and Maria Kanellis was terrible in the Rumble. And so I don't want to see them in singles matches, and they should be dealing with the women's tag titles. So yeah, the only person that they could legitimately possibly build up to face Asuka at Mania, and nothing against Nikki Cross, Asuka's gonna go through her like a chainsaw through butter. And the same thing for Carmella, same thing for Naomi. Maybe they give Naomi a moment. Maybe it's Asuka and Naomi. They were tagging before Asuka won the belt. So maybe they want to go back and revisit that storyline. And Naomi would probably be the most legitimate person I could see. But right now she's in this Mandy Rose situation. Could they build up Sonya Deville? Maybe they could build up Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville has a lot of upside. But when Rhea Ripley comes over to the main roster, if she does, Sonya Deville is out of a job. Or if Shayna Baszler comes to SmackDown, Sonya Deville is out of a job.
Now I'd love to see Shayna Baszler versus Asuka.
That'd be a shoot.
I'd have my money on Asuka as much as a Baszler supporter I am.
Xavier is looking bored at our conversation now.
To me, there's no other options.
So following the women's Royal Rumble match, we had the new Daniel Bryan defeating AJ Styles, which this was probably the worst match on the card.
I was about to say, I think that these two guys, I think they kind of phoned it in. The most interesting thing about this match was the finish.
They had that match after the Women's Battle Royal where you had people going absolutely ape shit for Becky Lynch for a long span of time. What in their minds thought they should put Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles on after that? Because I'm telling you, it may have sounded like the crowd didn't give a crap, but you should have been there. Like, it was so quiet, you forgot people were next to you. You just like, oh yeah, we out here with a whole bunch of people, aren't we? Because everybody was exhausted. Everybody was going up like using the bathroom. Kids that use the bathroom and get replenished because of the yelling and screaming and all that.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that. That women's Rumble match was a marathon. I think the official time on it was like an hour and 17 minutes or something like that. Woo!
Yeah, they definitely should have put that crappy tag match after that.
Right.
Yeah, and it was, and even the match itself was kind of a slower match compared to, like, we're supposed to be seeing the real AJ Styles taking on the new Daniel Bryan, and it was more of the same. They hit all their spots, like nothing technically it was sound. Like what they did, they were telling the story in the ring. It was just the placement of it and the intensity of it, I guess you could say. Daniel Bryan, the right man, won. So I guess it had that going for it. Like you said, the crowd was so blown up, and viewing it at home, we could see that. And like I said, a lot of times when you're viewing at home, the WWE sound mix didn't help with the crowd being already dead there live in person as well. So
I even think the commentators even made mention to it. But the crowd was fatigued. I mean, they got it back after that match, thankfully, but needed a break.
Right. And then following that, we had Finn Balor taking on the Beast Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar retaining his Universal Championship match. No war paint from Finn Balor.
I didn't care for this match. I think Brock let Finn Balor have too much. They gave him too much. Maybe that's just me hating on Finn Balor, just not getting into just plain Finn Balor. I don't think he's a bad worker. I can't get into him. And Brock should have mopped the floor with him. If he beat John Cena the way he did at SummerSlam, anyway,
It's an older.
Well,
It's an older Brock Lesnar, man. It's an older Brock Lesnar.
and I like that they kind of toyed with that whole whatever it was he had with his intestines.
Oh,
Like a
diverticulitis or
lot of people
whatever.
forgot about. Yeah, that was like what, a year ago or whatever. So they kind of played with that. I I I thought they gave him enough. I didn't think they. I don't think he gave him too much. I think he gave him just enough to make it believable for that 3 seconds that he was possibly going to lose. But then, I'm
I
Brock
feel funny because like Daniel Bryan is no bigger than Finn Balor, but for some reason it feels like Daniel Bryan was more legitimate of an opponent, a more legitimate, more legit opponent than Finn Balor was against Brock Lesnar.
I think it's kind of the way the match was set up. Probably, I know, like you said, you're not the biggest Finn Balor fan. You look at the Daniel Bryan match. Daniel Bryan, every opponent he faces, his whole technique is chopping them down and getting them down on the ground for submission, bringing them down to his level. Before this pay-per-view, I even said that Finn Balor's entire offense is hurling his body at his opponent, and you saw that in this match. So you got one guy who stays pretty much on the ground and just cuts you down, and you got one guy who just uses his body as a projectile. So maybe just from the technical aspect of seeing someone, okay, this guy is bigger than him, he's stronger than him, he's faster than him. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna take away his vertical base, and you're gonna bring him down to your level, and you're gonna slow him down. But pretty much the ending factor of both matches is you can't take away Brock Lesnar's power. And
I didn't understand. But
I was gonna say, and Lesnar still pretty much put Finn over at the end of the match, giving him those extra F5s and everything. So even in defeat, he kind of made Finn look pretty strong. It just was nonsensical for him not to come out with the war paint. I didn't like that aspect of it.
What is Finn Balor's appeal when he doesn't have the makeup on? What the hell is his appeal? He's a vanilla midget.
I mean, people like him.
I think you don't like him
I don't know why.
because he's built like you. Back in the day, just a skinny guy with abs, and you told the stories on here they didn't want to give you anything, and now you see Finn Balor out there challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, and you're like, hey, hold on, I had to lay on my back.
Right?
I didn't understand what the extra beatdown at the end was for. If they're not going to do anything afterwards,
I think
like
they are.
you can obviously see that he's going to go on the program with Bobby Lashley. So
I think Finn's slowly going to turn into a heel because he tried to do the right that same old bullshit story. He tried to do the right thing, the honorable thing. It didn't work. Now he's probably going to go on a losing streak where he gets dark and does the demon more often.
They're gonna push on him the storyline that they were gonna do to Becky, but Becky, they couldn't turn Becky heel. The fans wouldn't stand for it. Finn Balor as a heel, I think the fans would get with that. From just being from the male perspective, I think the fans could get with that, and then just the way that he's been treated. Like, his treatment has been a lot different than Becky Lynch's treatment, which is why the fans wouldn't take her being an actual heel, because she was just out there taking what was hers. She would always pretty much been humble. Finn Balor's went out there, worked his ass off night after night, been given nothing, and then just suffering beatdowns at the hands of people after his matches. So from being stumped out by Drew McIntyre to Bobby Lashley to Brock Lesnar, they're just gonna beat the demon out of him, basically.
I wouldn't buy Finn Balor as a heel.
I would. I saw him in Japan doing it. So, I watched
I think he would work better.
I watched those.
I think he'd work better as a heel.
And he works better as a heel when he has a team, when he has the henchmen. That's what's going to make him more believable. You got to get the Good Brothers over there on Raw with him. Like, they need to get the Good Brothers, Finn and AJ, all on the same show, and let them form Balor Club, the OGBC or whatever, and get AJ Styles out of the main event scene on SmackDown. And I think that's really what they're doing with the Miz. They're spinning their wheels with the Miz right now to keep him out of the main event scene, because I voiced on this podcast, our last episode, that besides AJ Styles, who else is in that main event scene on SmackDown? They don't have one. There's an upper mid card, and that's about all that you have over there. And the upper mid card over there is Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, all these people who are bubbling beneath the surface, but they're also people who have all had the opportunities at the title in the past 6 to 7 months, besides Jeff Hardy and Mustafa Ali and Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio's not winning that belt from Daniel Bryan. Mustafa Ali is not winning that belt from Daniel Bryan. I don't care how much they want to tease that. Samoa Joe, he deserves the title. He can't stay healthy. It's the same thing like Hideo Itami. They don't trust him. Randy Orton could care less about championships at this point in his career, and he's a part-timer. So, yeah, there's no main event scene over there on SmackDown. So they got to create something. So hopefully after WrestleMania we get another draft, or they just end the brand split, which I don't want to see them end the brand split. I like the brand split. I'd much rather see less titles though, less champions. Just have a floating champion.
Floating champions is the solution.
I think they're gonna. If they do keep the brand split, I do see them uniforming. Some of those belts.
We don't need multiple tag belts. Tag belts should float between shows. You guys have already shown that you don't have enough tag teams. You've mismanaged the tag teams. So let's just have those be floating champions. Maybe you could have 2 heavyweight belts, top belts, but you don't need.
No.
But you don't need.
I think you should have the heavyweight title should float. I think the U.S. and the Intercontinental can be the main show title when the heavyweight title's not being
So
defended.
the Intercontinental and the United States Championship would be like the TV championship. Then you got.
It's the brand title. It's basically the brand
title. But but you know what I mean. Like the TV title was what was defended on television, pretty much.
Yeah, it's the brand title. That takes up, since the champ is not represented on either show. Not like it's not a home show.
Right.
Then each brand would have their own separate champion.
Right.
But the champion of the company would travel to SmackDown when they had a worthy opponent, or Raw when they had a worthy opponent.
Right. So.
And then you could do the Brock Lesnar for months on end, and it wouldn't really matter because they'd be fighting over who would get that number 1 contendership.
Right. And so following this match, we had the 30-man Royal Rumble match. What were the highlights of this for you guys?
Let me just say to all the Kenny Omega marks to suck it, because they were saying about online, oh, he's gonna show up. Just wait till you see. Just wait till you see. They don't know shit about this business. So suck it, Kenny Omega marks. I told you he wasn't showing up.
What if he did?
I know. I would have been salty as hell if he would have.
Oh yeah, I would have been sitting here with some barbecue crow for you and some wine and everything. I brought enough for you and the whole family.
A lot of people was quite upset that we didn't get a Velveteen Dream entrance in the Rumble, because we thought for sure, especially with all the NXT people that were in the women's, we thought for sure we were going to get a Velveteen Dream.
Who got the loudest pop from NXT when they showed up in the Rumble?
I wasn't there, but I would think Pete Dunne got the bigger pop.
Pete Dunne got a good one. Aleister Black got a good one. Kairi Sane got a good one.
Gargano?
As far as who?
Gargano, I forgot about it.
Gargano got a good one too.
Yeah. So, What were the highlights of the men's Royal Rumble? I could tell you one low light that I was kind of disappointed by that we didn't get the Seth Rollins and Mustafa Ali interaction. They kept those two on opposite sides of the Rumble match.
I like Titus O'Neil running and slowing down and stopping.
Yeah, and then popping the crowd and then going under the ring.
Then Kurt Hawkins staying outside of the ring.
Jinder Mahal's very quickly got eliminated.
Whatever.
Not as quick as No Way Jose though.
What again? Why? He's what's the what the guy Rose, the Rosebuds. It's that all over again.
Yeah, but this was his gimmick on the Indies, so that's the difference. I thought it was hilarious though. Drew McIntyre just looks like a party pooper. He came out there just knocking out the conga line. It reminded me of Bernie Mac in Head of State when he was walking through the train station and he was just slapping people. That's pretty much what Drew McIntyre did on his way to the ring. That's probably the highlight of the entire Rumble to me.
What do you guys think of Nia Jax coming out?
Oh yeah, that too. Oh my goodness! Like I was on the edge of my seat, like RKO her ass, RKO her ass. And then now
I was waiting for someone to like voice over Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton, how they voice dub over what they really said. Like I can see someone looking at Rey Mysterio like, can you believe this bitch? Like,
I was kind of, I don't know. I'm like, man, they gonna do my R2 boy like they gonna do my boy like that. Like R2's really.
Well, he got his come up.
That's true, but I was kind of mad. I was like, really?
Yeah.
And then like, was she really an official entrant?
Well, they've done it before with I said his name earlier. When he didn't make it into the ring and he was like, I never got eliminated from the Rumble. I'm the longest lasting person in the Rumble history.
Curtis Axel.
Yeah, Curtis Axel, yeah.
When they did a really good job of distracting me. I totally forgot Seth Rollins, and I absolutely forgot about Braun Strowman, because if you saw my Twitter, when it got down to Andrade and Ziggler, I said, I'm done. Fuck this match.
Yeah, even the announcers kept trying to throw you all. We're down to the final two, and then all of a sudden Braun got out the ring and went to go grab Seth Rollins, and they're down to the because they kept saying final two on announcing, and they're like, oh yeah, we're down to the final four, and the King was even like, final four? I thought you said the final two, and they're like, no, we got Braun, Seth, Andrade. I love seeing Andrade being down to the last four though. That was awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for him to win, and if Dolph Ziggler won, that would have made zero sense. That's why I said the hell with this match.
Dolph Ziggler would have went on to face the Beast. How you just talked about how they did R-Truth. That's one thing that I did like about how they did the Women's Royal Rumble, is that they didn't immediately bring Becky Lynch out to take Lana's spot when she was hobbling down to the ring and took the beat down from Nia. That they waited until all the competitors were in the ring, so they all got their time or whatever. They didn't take anything away from Carmella or anybody or Nia, who came out before her. So I did like that. And they pretty much did the same thing kind of there with R-Truth, even though they had them take the beat down from Nia Jax. But she came in the number 30 spot to come down to the ring, and she definitely got her come up as like out of everything we've seen from her and Becky and their interactions for what happened. This was definitely the big middle finger to Nia Jax. But now we'll see what happens going forward if she's going to be fighting men, because she seems to really like antagonizing and putting her hands on men, which means obviously she did not learn her lesson at the Royal Rumble. But what are we thinking after that Rumble, the Royal Rumble versus NXT? What are our ratings on a scale of
NXT was
1 to 6? Everybody does the 5 stars. We'll do 1 to 6.
NXT was definitely a 5.5.
I would have to go with NXT. I'd have to go with a 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
What takes away from the perfect 6, honestly, goddamn Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno.
I mean, come on, Cassius Ohno bit his toe. He put his mouth on that man's feet to win that match.
I'm gonna say a 5.25. What do we have for the Royal Rumble?
A 3. And that's being generous.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Probably just because of Becky Lynch, I'm giving 4 3/4.
4.75. All right.
Yep.
So now we come to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and we're gonna pretty much breeze through these and only talk about the things that really mattered on these shows. One of the major things that we did get on this show was we had Ronda Rousey issuing an open challenge on Monday Night Raw. She cut a promo, and the fans pretty much hijacked the show from her, chanting Becky Lynch's name, at which point Bayley came out to face Ronda in a one-on-one match for the Women's Championship, which Ronda Rousey did win.
Can I rephrase that for you?
Go ahead.
Let me rephrase that for you. Okay, so what happened was they pre-announced that it was an open challenge. She went out there and tried to announce that it was an open challenge. She got choked up and corpsed her promo. Because I went back and watched it today just to make sure I wasn't just misjudging her because I'm a Becky Lynch fan. But I went back there and watched it, and she did choke on that promo. Like, she didn't know what to say or do. And it was to the point where, like, and Chris Beck, you know this too. There's times when that happens in the ring, and what does the promoter have to do?
Get
the
out
promoter
there.
has to send somebody out to save you. And Vince did that. Because, and there's nothing, too, you can tell something got messed up. Because they had...
got that deer in the headlights look.
They had Becky's, not Becky's, oh my God, what's her name? Bayley. They had Bayley's inflatable things out to, ignite or whatever, but they didn't even get to do it because she came out in the time she wasn't supposed to. She had to come out there and save her.
God damn it, get out there and save her. She's drowning out there.
But I mean, at the same time, she should have still cut her promo. I don't understand, like, even if the crowd is getting at you, you still got a point that you got to do. And I know that's part of her being green, but everybody else there can do it. She just couldn't.
I don't even think it's just part of her being green. I just think it's part of the WWE machine these days that, hey, unless it's approved, don't you get out there and say it. Because even when she used the word, I could kill you, I was like, I know that wasn't approved. I'm like, you forgot your lines and you didn't want to get choked up again. So you just started shooting from the hip. And the last 10 seconds of her promo, we'll skip ahead. I already announced that Ronda Rousey did not lose her belt to Bayley. The entire match, I'm looking at Bayley and I'm just feeling so sorry for Bayley. Because like I said on the last episode, every woman in the Horsemen has had their moment and Bayley is the only one who has not. She's held the championship, but who really remembers it? And most of it was we want to forget it anyway in order to be able to still be fans of Bayley. But anyways, so after beating Bayley, Becky Lynch made her way down to the ring, cut an eviscerating promo on Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey went back on script, but obviously forgot her lines again, or was unable to get the words out that were from her script, and started shooting from the hips. So the first probably 45 seconds of her promo were trash, her rebuttal to Becky Lynch, and the last 15 to 10 seconds of it was gold, letting her know how long she's been doing this and what she can do to Becky Lynch without even blinking before she could even say the words Nia Jax or whatever she said. So we got.
She said, "I'll bust your face quicker than you can say Nia Jax."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'll kill you with my bare hands." I will say what she said at the end of the promo made up for her totally butchering everything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
At the end of that promo, I had to actually cheer, and I said, "I can't wait for both of y'all to fight. I I can't wait.
And
she said she gonna kill you. When was the last time WWE promo somebody said I'm going to kill you?
that's why I said that definitely was not approved. We don't. I know Braun Strowman used the word kill a couple of months ago, and then like the next week he was hill again. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure she got a good stern talking to when she went backstage after that, and probably cried a little bit. But I think in this situation with, I said it on this podcast, in this situation with Becky Lynch, you don't necessarily have to turn Ronda heel. It's best that you do, but you don't necessarily have to. But you can't script her in this. She has to be able to go out there and shoot from the hips, because every crowd that she's in front of until they have that match at WrestleMania, she's not going to be able to get words out. If you script her, she's got to be able to just go out there and speak from her heart and soul. Because like even when she was trying to cut her promo, her babyface promo, talking about what it means to be a champion, because we already know that's what the promo was going to be. And then she was like, okay, you guys got me to mess up or whatever. And then she was like, okay, you guys want to talk about Becky? And she didn't know what to say. So I don't know. But we do know what our WrestleMania match is going to be right now, which is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
And also on the show, what was teased is that Daniel Bryan was in the building, and Brock Lesnar were in the building, and Seth Rollins would have to make a decision before the end of the night on who he wanted to face at WrestleMania. So throughout the night, we saw Daniel Bryan cut a couple of promos on Seth Rollins. And at the end of the night, we had Seth Rollins in the ring. And we had Brock Lesnar come down to the ring and beat the ever-living piss out of Seth Rollins. Pretty much letting us know that at WrestleMania, we're going to have Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman. What was the in-arena reaction to all of this?
I think the one thing they dropped the ball on is, even though Brock Lesnar came out and beat the crap out of what's his name, they still should have Daniel Bryan in there somewhere. Like, even if he just came out and watched and like went to the back or something, like for him to not even be in that last segment, I thought was a misuse of him. Especially setting up for the next night what they're going to set up for him. I think he should have been there. But other than that, I don't know. I didn't care for the ending. I guess it's just because I saw it coming a mile away. Him destroying Seth. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me, really. To be honest, like, I think right now, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, right now, the women's wrestling is way hotter than the guys' wrestling right now. Like, by leaps and bounds. But the thing is, I think WWE is probably realizing there's a problem a little bit.
Well, there's much more of a question in the women's wrestling and division. Like, you don't know what road that we're going to take to get to WrestleMania. There's not a whole bunch of roads when it comes to the men, because we know Brock Lesnar, we won't be seeing Brock Lesnar compete in a ring until WrestleMania again. So that's set. We don't know what's going to happen with the women. We just spent about 30 minutes debating if Charlotte should be added to the match. Who's Asuka going to face? There's a lot of questions. We have the question on the side of SmackDown on who's going to face Daniel Bryan, but that's going to be decided at Elimination Chamber. So, in a 6-man Elimination Chamber match. Is there anything else on Raw that happened?
You want to talk about Dean Ambrose, or that's later?
Well, yeah, we could talk about Dean Ambrose. He came out and started questioning when Triple H told Seth Rollins that he needed to decide on who his competitor was going to be at WrestleMania before the end of Raw. Dean Ambrose interrupted, came down, cut a promo, told Triple H that he wanted to face Seth Rollins right there in the ring. Triple H started to leave the ring, and Dean Ambrose leans in and says, "What, you got to go back there and ask your father-in-law?" And the crowd, being ultimate heel, said, "Yes, he does." And so Triple H makes the match right there on the spot between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, with Seth Rollins going over squeaky clean. And the next day, we get the announcement that Dean Ambrose went backstage and requested. Well, before all of that, after the match, Dean Ambrose was in the ring to cut a promo, and he was cut off by Nia Jax and Tamina getting all in his face and everything. And then he went to the back. This is what was reported, and asked for his release. And apparently it was granted. And so he's going to be out of the door. WWE did release a statement saying that they, with his real name, his government name and everything, saying that they wish him all the best. And hopefully he does return to the WWE later on down the line, which to me, this is unprecedented. We've never seen WWE do this before. So it makes me question if this is a shoot or work, or if they are putting this out there because Dean Ambrose is just going to be taken off of television until his contract expires.
I think it's an absolute work. And I'll give you my reasons why. Number one, they didn't future endeavor him. That's just kind of their thing. They kind of say that. It seems like it's kind of an asshole statement to make. Number two, I think they want to capitalize on this AEW just hype right now. So to have one of their people that they're in control of to say, oh, kind of like ECW did with Rob Van Dam, except for Dean Ambrose isn't going out saying, hey, I'm looking for other options, quote unquote, wink, wink. He's not saying that like Rob Van Dam was saying, hey, I'm going up for bigger and better things. I think WWE is trying to create the controversy that what if Dean Ambrose leaves? So now everyone's going to be so hard pressed to seeing what Dean Ambrose is doing because they don't know what's going to happen. Because I don't know who else right now. I mean, they've been spinning they've just been spinning too much rumors of people asking for their release. Why are they publicizing this if they're, I don't know, I just smell a work.
I'm on the opposite of that. I thought it might be a work for a minute, but I was like, I don't see any benefit to WWE doing this. So that's what makes me think it's a shoot.
Fuck with people.
The only thing that I could see happening with this, if it is a work, it's a work to possibly get AEW to slip up. And what I mean by that is that WWE has in their statement, they basically said that he is under contract with WWE until the end of April. AEW's first pay-per-view or event or whatever is May 25th. So with them putting these deadlines on there for his contract and AEW deadline or whatever for their show, they want to see if AEW is going to try to reach out to Dean Ambrose to book him for a show, which would be contract tampering, even though he's opted out of his contract. Most of these guys can't negotiate anything until their contract is up. And even after it's up, they have a 30-day non-compete or 60-day or 90-day. We don't know what Dean Ambrose's non-compete is. So maybe they just.
Actually, I think if the contract expires, there is no compete clause. I think the no compete is only if it ends before the contract ends. To my knowledge,
I don't know. I know even with Kenny Omega, even though that's New Japan, I know he still couldn't have showed up at the Royal Rumble, allegedly, from what I've heard, even if he had wanted to, based on his New Japan contract because of when it ended. He couldn't appear or compete for 30 days after his contract was up. So that was part of the reason a lot of people were saying he wasn't going to be at the Rumble. But I believe I've seen some WWE contracts that even when it just expires on its own, it's still like that gap there. And I think when it expires, it's 30 days. So maybe they're just putting this out there like, hey, if AEW reaches out to you, we got them. We're gonna sue the pants off of them or whatever if they try to contact you before your contract is up. But again, maybe it is what you said. Maybe they're just putting it out there like, hey, he's out there if you guys want him. We tried with him. You guys think he's a star? We don't think he's a star. And then on the flip side of that, it could be that I don't watch a whole bunch of Total Divas, but you can kind of see from like the Dean Ambrose character on some of these documentaries and the sit down that he had with Stone Cold. He's an easygoing guy, but you can also tell he's been through some things and he's a little bit more sensitive probably than most people are. So they're kind of handling him with kid gloves by putting that out there instead of future endeavoring him, saying like maybe it's like mental health or something like that. Hey, we hope to see you back in the company and wish you well or whatever, but everything besides saying the future endeavors thing. Because future endeavors doesn't always mean that it was amicable. I think that this is more amicable of him just saying, hey, I could just walk out on you guys and take my ball and go home. You guys have been good to me, and I know what your product is because allegedly what he's told him is that he doesn't like hokey shit. And so he's like, you guys are a good company. You've been good to me. We've worked well together and everything. This isn't the company for me. This isn't the product that I want to be a part of. I come from CZW. I don't necessarily want staples in my forehead anymore, but I also don't want to be getting shots on television and drop my draws and everything. So it also kind of leaves Renee Young in kind of a weird position. She's almost in that AJ Lee spot when CM Punk left. You guys think she's going to stick around?
I think she'll stick around. Because one, she's going to be the breadwinner of the family until he finds another job. And two, she's had so much growth from like when she first started with the WWE. She's not going to leave that long.
Well, she always said,
and I don't think Dean will ask her to do that either.
Well, it depends on what type of a guy Dean Ambrose is. If he's an insecure guy, he's not going to want his woman traveling around while he's sitting at home or whatever he's doing.
Yeah, and it's been funny to me the past several weeks. Whenever anybody black comes out to the ring, I feel like Renee Young like perks up on commentary. Like, look at. I really hope Bobby Lashley does his favorite pose. Like, I'm like, Renee, you are a married woman. You need to calm down.
They're feeding her those lines, probably.
Even then, maybe Dean Ambrose can't be too self-conscious if he's allowing her to say that stuff on television. But it's just always like, I'm like, whoa, Renee, like you are all about the chocolate, huh? I'm always just kind of taken aback by it. But besides that, it was by the numbers Raw. We did have Baron Corbin take on Kurt Angle and beat Kurt Angle. So he lost to Drew McIntyre, which was kind of a shocking defeat in a lot of people's eyes, at least to me. Like, we all know the state that Kurt Angle was in now, that it's not the Kurt Angle of old, but nobody really expected him to lose to Drew McIntyre the way that he did, or to lose at all when he did. But now to see him lose to Baron Corbin, I kind of think that takes the piss out of and I don't know why I'm using English terms, but it kind of takes the piss out of the Drew McIntyre win to see Baron Corbin also defeat Kurt Angle. And now I really don't see where the value is in Kurt Angle anymore for the WWE.
Nope, there's not. Yeah. We're moving on.
Yeah, moving
on. Anything else from Raw?
We still got Jason Jordan, though, maybe.
Anything else from Raw? We want to move over to SmackDown.
One thing I will say, Raw and SmackDown did not have the draw of NXT TakeOver.
You said the draw?
Really?
It's a lot more blacked off areas.
Wow. Well, I mean, again, okay, so do the tickets come in like a package? Because I don't know. I could see people, if they were going to go for the weekend, unless you can have a package deal with all 4 tickets, they're probably like, you know what, I'm going to the Royal Rumble, I'm going to NXT. I'm not really going to go to Raw or SmackDown.
So here's what happened. We got our tickets for everything. When the pre-sale happened, you could only get the tickets individually. You could not get the packages. There were packages where you get all 4 days. Like there was a package where you get all 4 days for tickets, and then there's packages where you can get all 4 days for tickets and hotel, I believe. But none of them was available at the pre-sale. So if you're one of those type of people that want to get a really, really good seat, you would have got your tickets already and then said screw the whole package deal thing. So I think that might have may hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, and I also heard, and I was really thinking about hopping on a flight and coming out to Arizona for the Royal Rumble because up until showtime, I heard they were selling tickets like buy two get one free. Like they had tickets for $20. I was like, damn, an $80 round trip flight and $20. So I was like, I go to the Royal Rumble for like $130.
Yeah, the cheapest ticket I think was like 20 or 30.
Yeah, so I was
And
like,
then somebody that I know, this kind of pissed me off too. Somebody that I know got some really, really cheap tickets, and then they got upgraded to 4 seats.
oh yeah, you were in a suite for NXT, right?
Well, no, that's what the Royal Rumble. What's it about NXT?
No, I said you ended up in a suite for NXT, right?
Yeah. So we actually had 4 tickets for NXT, but we signed off for the suite just because. I mean, granted, yeah, it was a better view from the 4 seats, but we didn't get the high end 4 seats, so we didn't get the one where we got to take the chairs home.
Oh, okay.
So we was just like, well, we'll keep the suite. And the suite was sweet because, I mean, we had our own private bathroom, had a good view, had like a table where we could have like food and stuff out, and had service where somebody came and asked us what we wanted, so.
You take so many Louis the 13 shots.
Yeah, we're definitely spoiled.
But yeah, moving over to SmackDown, the big story on SmackDown, the big story on SmackDown is we have a new United States champion in R-Truth. Now, the natural Chris Black did not watch the show live, but I did have him go and view the clip. So right now I'm going to ask him to give his thoughts on R-Truth winning the United States title from Shinsuke Nakamura.
I heard there was some controversy to the finish, but until now I actually watched it and it's like, whoa, that was kind of weird. But how did they cut? I mean, because you could tell unless they just was working the hell out of everybody with all these work shoots that seem to be going on, you can tell that they weren't expecting that match to be over and done with. And I don't really think that the referee counted 3. That might have been like a Phoenix screw job going on Nakamura because
he counted 3.
The referee clearly counted 2. He clearly counted 2 and was like, "Oh, that's it, 3." It's like, wait a minute.
Oh, it was 3. We heard 3 in the arena.
Oh, you did?
We heard 1, 2, 3. Now at first I was like, wait a minute, this is an accident. But based off what happened afterwards, they told me that it wasn't an accident. And kudos to everybody involved because Shinsuke and R-Truth could have just, at the end of it, just kind of been like, what? But they acted like they didn't realize the match was over and the referee had to stop them, which I thought was that little extra that sold it.
That's what made it look real.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But as soon as you saw Rusev come down, and then what was a great swerve too is as soon as Rusev came down, the crowd knew what was up. We was like, oh, now he's gonna lose it to Rusev. That's why when they was about to make the match, everybody was like, no.
See, that's the point where I heard there was some shenanigans, but then when I heard Truth went over on Rusev, I'm like, no, okay, so if it was, a screw up, they would have just, I don't know, they would have done something other than have Rusev come down and also get beat by Truth. So,
and to me, that was the second greatest moment of the entire weekend. The first thing was everything with Becky, and then the second thing was everything with R-Truth. Because the look on R-Truth's face when they handed him the title was priceless. I mean, he was like, really like, me? For real? So, kudos to that man. And he deserves it.
Yeah, his first title in, I think they said 6 or 7 years on commentary. The last title he held was the United States Championship.
Yep.
So that would have been when he was doing the little Jimmy and everything and beefing with John Cena and everything like that. So, Yeah,
And again,
congratulations to him.
why is it over? He goes to dirty works hard. And the
Right.
crowd loves him.
And I kind of like the promo he cut before. He was like, I had a talk with the McMahons and they know me very well. And so that was definitely like, I don't care what you say, 2019, equality or whatever. Like, R-Truth definitely was like, hey, I'm not just going to take this beat down from Nia Jax. Y'all going to give me something for this. Look at me. But the other big story on SmackDown, because there was not a lot of wrestling on this show. The other big story on SmackDown, we got our number one contenders for the tag team belts, and the Usos will be taking on Shane O'Mac and The Miz, which should be a good match. Shane McMahon flying all over. Shane McMahon flying all over the place, along with the Usos, and The Miz doing his thing.
There was not a lot of wrestling because that match was like 2 hours. It was good. It was a good showing for Heavy Machinery, though.
Oh yeah, Heavy Machinery is looking awesome. And then the biggest story, I already kind of stated it, that we're gonna have a 6-man Elimination Chamber match at the Elimination Chamber, obviously, for Daniel Bryan's WWE Championship. Daniel Bryan came down to the ring, was cutting a promo. He threw the WWE Championship in the trash, stating that it was made out of leather, out of a cow that he called Bessie. And the crowd, as the Ultimate Heels, again, started chanting Bessie. And when he threw it in the trash, they were saying, goodbye, Bessie.
I wouldn't say we're being heels. We're just having fun.
Yeah. And then he unveiled the new WWE Championship, which was made from hemp and a naturally fallen oak from the forest. And the best line of the night came when AJ Styles came down and said, what did you do? Smoke the rest of that? Did you smoke the prototype?
I have to disagree with you. I don't think that was the line of the night. That was one of them.
Oh no, yeah, the other best line of the night. I know where you're going. When so he's in the ring, AJ Styles interrupts him. Then Randy Orton comes down. They go to commercial break. They come back. Mustafa Ali makes his way down to the ring. Rey Mysterio makes his way down to the ring. And finally, we have Samoa Joe making his way down to the ring, who had, to me, the second best line of the night when he's cutting down everybody in the ring and Jeff Hardy's mouthing off in the ring. And he's like, hey, I'm down here talking. Treat this like the circle at an AA meeting and you shut your mouth.
That you just shut my mouth when I'm sharing.
Yeah, shut your mouth while I'm sharing. Treat this like an AA meeting and you shut your mouth while I'm sharing.
And both him and Randy Orton broke character.
So was that, do you think he improvised there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. They're not telling Samoa Joe what to say.
Nobody's Samoa said a couple of things. I forgot what he said to Mustafa Ali, but he shitted on him too.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
I don't think he said like you should just be happy to be here or something like that. I don't know. He shitted on everybody. Samoa Joe should always have a mic.
I want Samoa Joe to do commentary when he gets done competing in the ring.
Yeah.
But so all of that happened, and everybody's in the ring and they're fighting, and Daniel Bryan hopped out of the ring and onto the announce table, and he's saying he's going to be champion forever, and none of them deserve a title match with him. And Triple H appears on the Titantron and lets Daniel Bryan know that he's going to face all of those guys, like I said earlier, in the Elimination Chamber for his WWE Championship. I'm going to give you guys my prediction for Elimination Chamber for that match right now, just based on the fact that they created this new belt for Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan will be champion come WrestleMania. So that's your spoiler for Elimination Chamber and Fastlane as far as my predictions go.
So who challenges Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania?
Don't know. I hope it's not AJ Styles. It's probably going to be Mustafa Ali.
Maybe.
It's probably going to be Mustafa Ali. Like, no matter who he faces from SmackDown, it's not a marquee match, in my opinion.
Correct
correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of view Mustafa Ali as like a 1-2-3 kid, kind of like his win over Daniel Bryan was like the 1-2-3 kids win over Razor Ramon, and I think that he needs more of a build. I think if he goes up against Daniel Bryan now, they're gonna kill his career.
I think Mustafa Ali is kind of Vince McMahon's
Project.
new baby face. Yeah, because
Give him time then. Give him time. Let him marinate. Get that. What'd you say, Mustafa? Get that season on the chicken.
What does Vince McMahon know about seasoning on chicken?
it's true.
Kurt Angle knows about some seasoning on some chicken. So if he's the one out there booking and producing, maybe. But yeah, as far as Daniel Bryan and WrestleMania, nobody on SmackDown, nobody who Daniel Bryan faces is gonna be a marquee match, and that's not a knock on Daniel Bryan. That's not really even a knock on anybody on SmackDown. It's just the way that they've been positioned and built. Like I said, there's no real main event scene where anybody is believable to take the title away from Daniel Bryan right now. They got 2 months to build somebody into that position. Mustafa Ali's been on the main roster now for 2 or 3 months now. So it's 6 months build enough for him to face Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania just to lose?
I don't know. I don't see. I can't imagine anyone facing Daniel Bryan now that, like, The Miz is kind of out of the picture in terms of facing Daniel Bryan, because that's who we always saw facing him at WrestleMania.
The only thing that I could see is maybe they give us a swerve, and all of this was to get Daniel Bryan, The Miz out of the AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan thing, because remember he was kind of in the middle of it, where he is using Shane McMahon for his power. And he's like, hey, my dad was proud when we won the tag team belts, but what if we were draped in gold? How about you put me in the WrestleMania main event against Daniel Bryan for the SmackDown Championship? Then my dad will be super proud of me.
Yeah, but then then you got 2 heels in the ring, though.
But the Miz isn't a heel right now.
No, I see what he's doing is he's a heel playing a face.
I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know where we get Daniel Bryan's match from. We'll see what happens at Elimination Chamber. They made him a custom belt, so I don't see him losing it. We've been on here for a little over 2 hours now. So you guys got anything else? Anything else from being out there in Arizona? Anything you saw live? Any dark matches? Anything that impressed you, disappointed you?
Well, okay, 205 Live, they had Mike Kanellis. He wrestled Kalisto. They had a very, very long match. It was a pretty good match, too, by the way, with Kalisto going over in that. Then they had a pre-tape segment with Gulak and Zach Gallagher, where apparently there's somebody coming into 205 Live and they want to be like his mentors. So they told him, like, keep his feet on his ground and, no flips and all that stuff. You know how that is. Their gimmicks. Okay. And then the main event was Hideo Itami. He wrestled Akira Tozawa.
Yeah,
with Akira Tozawa going over. Then Ari Daivari was kind of consoling him, and then he ended up giving him his clothesline where he has his hand behind his back. And that was in the 205 Live. And then for the dark match, we got Asuka versus Charlotte, which was a pretty basic match. Nobody did anything special. The biggest move was Charlotte doing a moonsault and Asuka putting her knees up, her eating that, and then taking the L to Asuka.
Oh, okay.
That was it. But there was no other any other dark matches. It was great being out there in Phoenix. A lot of great wrestling fans came from all over to see the event.
I want to give a shout out to any of those independent shows. I know you hit up a couple.
Yeah, Arizona Federation of Wrestling, I believe, was AFW. I went to their show I believe that was the Friday night. They had a pretty good show. Then I went to, I can't remember the other promotion, but they did a benefit show for a guy who's, I think it was his like cousin or his uncle, was ran over by a intoxicated driver, and he ended up having all of his limbs amputated. So they did a show for him, had a big turnout, and they put the wrestler over for the Fighting Spirit Championship belt, and then he gave that to his cousin for his fighting spirit and getting through that whole situation and being a positive and good guy and stuff like that. So I thought it was really cool what they did. That match, that show had Willie Mack on it, who, if you have not seen Willie Mack in action, that guy is awesome. They also had Joey Ryan on there. He was in a battle royal. He did flip somebody out the ring over the top rope with his penis. It was only he can do.
Somebody needs to do a Porky's segment with him.
But it was great, man. All the indie wrestlers out there were pretty nice. Nobody was like a jackass or an asshole, like most places. Weather was great. Then I come back here to this polar vortex.
Polar vortex, because it just sucks. I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Yearly tradition now.
I think so.
Follow that traveling circus known as the WWE.
And it was fun
As
being
long as
out there
it's-
for like a week and you do all that extra stuff too, you know?
I'll say it sounds nice as long as it's always in warm weather.
If they're gonna keep doing these stadium shows, I'm pretty sure it will be. Oh, that was one thing I was gonna ask you. So, the stadium, what did it look like a sellout to you?
It wasn't a complete sellout. I think they legitimately did have almost 50,000 people in there though. I mean, basically, you figure they put the ring and everything on the baseball field itself, so you can pretty much say the ring was second base. And then everything around it, they had cheers, and they had the back of the arena, the furthest away from the fan, that was kind of blocked off, and that's where they had all the production stuff and everything. And then you had the entrance was the now I'm terrible at baseball stuff, the first base pit.
The drive line.
Come on, dude. You don't.
It's America's pastime. Come on, get it
The
together.
first base what?
I said
You don't know where the first base is?
the first
No.
the first base drive line, the foul line. Was it
The
along?
first base where the people are they're not underground,
Oh, the
but
bullpen,
where the
Dugout?
team are by the first
the
base.
dugout.
Yeah, there we go. They were on the first base dugout. That's where they came out from.
Okay.
I'm not a baseball person. I don't know these terminologies.
Shoot, but all right, you guys have been listening to Saturday Night SlamCasters. This has been our Royal Rumble 2019 review. You guys want to throw out your social medias?
You can catch me at Xavier Mustafa at Twitter and Facebook. Also on Twitter, you can also follow me at eBrown Jr. 81. That's my other Twitter. And yeah, that's where you can catch me at.
You can catch me on Twitter at _natural_CB. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at The Natural Chris Black.
And you can catch us everywhere. Just search Saturday Night SlamCasters. You can catch us on. We just got added to TuneIn Radio, coming soon to Pandora. Still working on the Alexa thing, but we are on Stitcher. We are on TuneIn Radio. We are on your Google Podcasts. We're on your iTunes. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast from, you can find us. And we're working on the voice command things. Coming soon to Siri as well. Like I said, search us on YouTube. This is up on YouTube. Share it with your friends. Give us a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss any notifications. And yeah, on Facebook and Twitter, search Saturday Night SlamCasters. You can find us there. We're out of here. Come get slammed.